Hey everyone, it's Rick with a One Board Family interview. I am super excited about our guests today. They are from the group Barely Balanced, which is my favorite Georgia Renaissance Fair performance every year. Small, medium, and large is how I know them, but I'll allow them to introduce themselves with their real names if those aren't their real names. So, hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
Hello! You're here behind the curtain to learn our aliases.
Woo! I hope this doesn't ruin the magic, is what I'm hoping. I don't want this to ruin any of the magic.
Oh, it's gonna be magical. For sure.
Yes.
Awesome.
So this is small.
Hi, I'm also Margaret.
Yeah, Margaret. I'm medium, also known as Cameron.
And I'm large, also known as Jimmy.
And this is our fussy dog, Zaki.
Say hi to them.
Like, oh, my dog!
Not part of the show, as far as I know.
Oh no, he's part of it. You just don't see him.
He's pulling the levers behind the curtain.
Our Foley artist.
Yeah.
Really bad at it. He just makes barking sounds.
Well, I've seen you guys for like the past 5 years at the Georgia Renaissance Festival. But for those who are less informed, can you tell us a little bit about like what is Barely Balanced? What is it that you guys do?
I'd like to first say that we've been seeing you for 5 years, and we've been watching.
Surprised you haven't heard the heavy breathing till now.
Just something a little creepier when we say that.
Yeah, I guess so. So who are we? That's an existential question if I've ever heard one.
Like human Jenga sort of thing, where it's just like we stack each other on top of each other, and then we tell jokes along the way. And then I've been trying to stab these guys like with the juggling knives for like 8 years now, and they keep catching them and throwing them back.
It's true. We've gotten really good at juggling knives at the top of stunts. We do a 35, 40-minute show at Renaissance festivals and other outdoor festivals. And so Jimmy is clearly, he's the one on top of all this.
My mom's proud.
And we stack it up. We crack jokes. We get audience volunteers. We juggle. And occasionally we play with fire as well.
Yeah, it's like hanging out with a couple of like really nerdy friends getting drunk and saying, "Hold my beer and watch this."
Except you've practiced the watch this beforehand, usually.
Yeah, but practice.
Yeah.
So, like, I've always said that I'm incredibly jealous of you three. You're incredibly athletic, you're very funny, and you're all three good looking. It's very annoying. You need to stop it. But how do three people find themselves doing this sort of thing? Like, what kind of life experiences lead one to stack on top of each other and tell jokes every weekend?
Growing up in a time period before YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly,
really
we were just like bored between classes in college and started figuring things out. I just always wanted, even as a kid, I always wanted to do circus. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just go for it. And started climbing on my friends and figuring things out. And that's kind of what the show grew out of.
That's awesome. I would love to hear the stories of like friends that got randomly climbed upon. I feel like those are some good ones.
I mean, half the stunts we come up with are like, "Hey, Jimmy, hold yourself in this position, and I'm going to throw myself at you."
Yeah, and like at the grocery store, can we just...
I just wanted Pringles.
Never!
Like, stop right there. What? What?
No, yeah, that's exactly the position I've been looking for. I'm going to climb that.
And that's how we came up with the stunt, the Pringles.
The Pringles, yes. So, you guys are on the road a lot, and I mean, you're on the road right now out in Wisconsin. How do you keep yourselves occupied between shows, and what is downtime like for you guys?
Woo! Well, we perform mainly on Saturdays and Sundays, so it's a bit of a marathon because we'll do 8 shows over the weekend and multiple hours worth of stilts during that weekend. And so on Monday, we try to do very little. We eat a lot of carbs and recharge.
Yeah, play a lot of Witcher 3, whatever.
Yeah, that's Jimmy's life,
Yeah.
for sure. And otherwise, we practice several hours a week. We go to the gym. We make our costumes and new props. Cameron's super good at social media and is always answering emails and checking in with people on Instagram and Facebook and doing the backstage part of it. You know?
But the cool thing about what we do is that we have a lot of like fluidity to our schedule, and we're all big nerds, and so we have a lot of hobbies that would like we probably wouldn't be able to really do until we were like old and retired. But we can, in the middle of the week, adjust our training schedules. So if there's some really awesome event or convention going on,
Water park.
yeah, water park. I always want to play water parks. Like we totally have time to actually like play video games, to go have big crazy D&D romps, to go travel to a park that is maybe like on the other side of the country that we've always wanted to visit. So I think like the coolest thing is that we actually have the downtime to do that stuff. So we don't really get bored because there's so many stupid things we're always wanting to do. So we're usually able to like get a couple of days off a week to go and do that stuff. But other than that, we're training like 5 days a week, working either on new things for the show or to not kill ourselves when we're doing the current show.
Always a good safety net there. Well, and because we're a board game blog, I feel I'm obliged to ask, are there any card games or board games that make their way to any tables while you guys are out there?
Oh,
Yes.
there are
Oh, I think Cameron's going to go pull his favorite one out. I like quick play games, like Guillotine, etc., etc. We do play a lot of Munchkin. We play quite a bit of Munchkin. I got Mysterium is one we play a bit.
Gotta rock some Munchkin.
Pathfinder Munchkin, and Cameron's, which he always wants to play, but we never do. Because
Is the Wrath of a Chardalon.
Yeah.
That is intense. That is
Yeah,
not one I've seen before.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's basically just like the first 2 levels of D&D characters in a board game. So you start off as level 1s, and then gradually you like level up, so you'll flip the card over and then keep playing. So, and it's got a bunch of just different, like you pick your main goal, so it's like there's so many of them. Like there's like 50 main goals or something like that, so each game is completely different.
yeah, you have different
Yeah.
possibilities of quests.
Also, Betrayal on the House of the Hill.
That
is
one's
so
great.
good.
I also love Pandemic. That one's awesome. And the what's the Sinking Island?
Oh, Forbidden Island.
Forbidden Island.
Yeah.
Oh, that board game is the biz.
So, yeah.
I'm a fan of.
I mean, we played once or twice.
Yeah, we love
Yeah.
game night.
I feel like we need to get you guys a copy of Gloomhaven so that we can get like 80 hours of gameplay in, and you guys can totally throw in board game references to your show. I'm sure everybody will love them. I think that's something that needs to happen.
That's so funny. Actually, I don't even know if we have enough time for Gloomhaven. That's such a big...
I started playing it with a guy that lives down the street. He invited me over and some friends, and we did a campaign. It took us like one little room took us 4 hours, and like he's been asking like, when are you guys coming back over? I was like, I have too much life. I can't do this.
I'm sorry to say, but I've now moved into this room.
Yeah.
So now I don't often think of card games when I think of acrobats or acrobatics. How did the Barely Balanced card game come to life? What's the story behind that?
So we met a really awesome dude named Max Holiday. He works for Ginger Ale Games.
Who sounds like a superhero,
doesn't
Max?
it? Max Holiday.
Max Holiday.
And he looks like Ginger Santa. If Santa was like maybe gonna like ride up on a motorcycle and get the party started.
Yeah.
The dude.
That's my Santa. My Santa, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It goes hard.
So he was. It turns out that this guy was a big fan of our show, and he makes games for a living. And so he said, I got this idea for a game. I want to run it by you guys, see if it would interest you. And if it does, I'd love to do some play testing, get your input on it, et cetera, et cetera. So we hung out with him and ate way too much Mediterranean food and chatted about the game, and then ate more Mediterranean food and then chatted more about the game. And then we play tested it for like a year. and just kept having fun with it and tweaking it. And then we teamed up with our favorite artist who does a lot of our different, projects with us, and made it happen.
The Thomas Boatwright.
And it was neat to see how it would go, because nobody out in this, in this Ren Fair world, was doing things, like that. It's kind of a new thing for this world and this market. So it's neat to see how the fans would react, to us putting forth the game, if they would dig it.
Yep.
He just really wants to play the game.
That's my jam.
Why can't we play the card game again?
He's really good at it. Yeah, with it's not dogs playing poker; it's dogs playing Barely Balanced. Yeah, I bought the game when we were at the festival this past year. Mostly because like I said, you guys are my favorite. I wanted to find a way to support you, and I like games. And I was incredibly surprised. I apologize, but my first thought was like, this is going to be kind of cheesy and kind of lame. Like, we'll give it a shot. This is a really good card game. Like, it has set collection mechanics that I have never seen before, where it involves taking the cards and stacking them on top of each other. So rather than having to match up numbers, you're matching up, formations. And it's really cool. Like, it's a trick-taking game where you're actually setting up tricks. I think it's a really good game you guys have.
Else that I really thought was interesting about it is that we have it set in the gameplay that you have to justify what you're doing. It doesn't have to make any physics sense, but like you have to kind of justify what the trick be like. Oh, well, I'm gonna balance Margaret on my head while she does puts a bowling ball on one of the hula hoops and like hula hoops with the bowling ball on the inside. Like, that could never happen in real life, but it's fun to think about, and I like that that's an element to the game that you can do.
Oh yeah.
To me, because of course we always have fun, when we were playtesting it, getting to play with different friends of ours out here, and a lot of the comedians that we work with out here. And it's the storytelling aspect of the game that we really love, because it's fun to see what weird things people come up with every time they play it. Yeah. But I'm so glad that you like it, and that you like it for the uniqueness of how they stack, because that was something that Max Holiday at Ginger Ale Games worked really hard to make sure all the math kind of worked out, so you could have a fun and interesting sort of game that was hopefully a little bit different than the other card games you might already have.
Definitely. Yeah, I like it. We've played it a few times, and it's one. I've got a nice fancy card game box that we carry from place to place, and it's going to be added pretty soon. It's definitely one we'll be keeping around. You made it in the box.
Yes.
Besides the card game, and you showed the Dungeons and Dragons board game that you've got, but you guys were also involved in a D&D Pathfinder campaign. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah. We teamed up with some guys who actually also work at the Georgia Renaissance Festival. Right, not too far from our stage there's a booth that sells elf ears called Eridani Studios, and they are fantastic artists. They use their elf ear empire to fund fun projects that they want to do, like creating D&D campaigns and books and worlds involved with D&D. So they approached us, and Cameron did most of the writing, if not all of the writing on it.
No,
for our part. I mean,
yeah. So it was super cool. They reached out to me because they were wanting to do a D&D, Pathfinder book that involved kind of a dark circus. It has this kind of medieval and circusy feel to it. So they reached out to me to say, hey, do you want to team up? Do you want to help us write all the circus aspects of this?
We think you're a dark and creepy circus guy. You want to help us out with this?
Yes. I mean, dark and creepy is on my resume. Yeah. Like, finally I get to use these special skills.
Yeah. And they gave me a mustache, which makes me automatically evil.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. On the cover of this Dark Circus book, it's like, well, you're going to have fun. You're going to go on this murder mystery, and evil Barely Balanced is going to help you along your way to achieving your goal. And on the cover, Cameron gets an evil mustache. Jimmy gets an evil mustache. Who on the team does not get a badass evil mustache?
That is not fair. That is not fair.
In the reprint, I said, next time you print it, I want one.
Yeah. If you want to go,
take a magic marker to every single copy.
But you know,
So
Yeah.
demanding.
it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we like outside of the show, like we're not just nerds that work Brent Fair. We're also nerds in our free time,
Yeah.
and we play D&D every week.
Yeah.
We're always playing D&D. So when they reached out to me to do this, I had like a nerdgasm. I'm like, yes, who wouldn't want to help write a D&D campaign? So super fun to get to work on it. Kind of one of those like dream come true, just fun moments. And then not too long after that is when we got reached out for the card game as well. So it's kind of this fun, like gaming snowball that was kind of getting started.
that's awesome. So, you know, you've got all this stuff you've done. Is there any other gaming things that are going to be coming up in the next few years or in your future?
Well, we have been talking a little bit about. We're thinking about doing expansions. We're trying to work for the card game that we have right now. So we're thinking about doing some other expansions with it, like ones to add more messing around with you know, like messing with the other people's decks rather than just enhancing your own. So we call that the trick deck. And then we're thinking about maybe possibly one that's more adult oriented, so you could turn it into a drinking game. We're trying to see. We're working with him to see if those things are going to be working out. But
So I was actually just talking with Max Holiday from Ginger Ale Games last week, and he was reaching out to me about doing an expansion pack. So it is something that he's already starting to kind of work on the math for it. And my hope, what I would love to do on the next deck is have some good mess with your buddy cards. So be able to play a card on your partner's balance that will mess with the point value. So have largest pants rip, and the stunt maybe doesn't work as well. You know, to have
actually, that makes the tricks work way better. Actually,
it depends on what state we're in. We're in Wisconsin. They love those cheese curds.
fact. That's a
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So yeah, if you play a stunt, somebody else could play like thunderstorm or
Yes.
drunk audience heckler.
Yeah.
And have to actually heckle the stunts, you know, in the game, or have things like have my chest hair catch on fire, you know, all sorts of fun things. So we're hoping to get an expansion pack going for it. Probably not, maybe by the end of next summer, but maybe not until the summer following.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I would feel right at home in such an expansion. I mean, every time I see you guys, I just whip stuff up at the stage, hoping that it throws you off in some way. So, I mean, I've already practiced. Yeah. It was me!
It was when you threw a full living child that really surprised us, because it wasn't even your own offspring. I was like,
No.
dang.
No, I wouldn't do it with my own offspring. I'd do it with the nearest annoying child. And, you know, now it's part of your act, though, so you're welcome, you know.
Sick.
To be fair, we attached it to one of our juggling clubs, and it's now one of our favorite props.
There you go.
Easily.
So,
Thank God for Mars Cheese Castle.
Also, this podcast brought to you by Mars Cheese Castle. And for Castle cheese. Holy craggy cheese, we got it.
Please give us money now. So if people want to learn more about you guys, where you're headed, or any of your games, how can people find out more about you?
Well, we try to post on Instagram and Facebook at Barely Balanced just about every day or every other day. So if you want to keep up with our everyday adventures of what we're working on stunt-wise or game-wise.
Get to see some of our like backstage training and messing with each other and some of the adventures we get into.
Yeah, that's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as barelybalance.com.
Awesome.
Tour dates and the more official side of
Yes, it's like stalking but legal. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And if you're out there and there's a Renaissance Festival coming out near you, you should totally go check out Barely Balanced and check out their website for more information. Again, thank you guys so much. And hey, when that expansion comes out, I know some people that would be willing to do some reviews for it.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
Thank you, Rick. You're
Awesome.
awesome.
Bye, guys.